Hey guys, CODENAMEBIGBEAR here. So today I'm going to be talking to you about this game called Windbound, which is out today. So what is Windbound? Windbound is a game where you play as Kara. You are shipwrecked on an island and you've got to traverse your way island to island to unravel the mysteries of how you ended up there and how to get out and what happened to the rest of these islands, I guess. You know, some of them seem to have been inhabited before you got there, but seem to may have been abandoned for thousands of years. I mean, that's kind of understandable, really. If you look around the areas that you are sailing in, you're surrounded by a big cloud, kind of like Laputa Castle in the sky, which is personally a really cool little touch, to be honest. But Kara's obviously got to find her way to, well, escape this area and get back to her original tribe. And how she does that is by going island to island, as I said. So one of the first things you do in this game is you wake up, you find out your little island is nothing on it, so you swim to the next island. And that's when you discover you have a stamina meter. And this is very important to the game because this game is a full-on survival game. I personally play it on story mode because I'm not a big fan of survival games. And the idea of losing all my items that I've been gathering over the last few hours just to be left with maybe like a couple of rocks in my hands really did not appeal to me, so I played the story mode instead. Yeah, so the first thing she does is she goes up this kind of like a Giant's Causeway looking ramp and finds a handle for a mystical ore. And this ore grants her the ability to be able to build boats, and that is how you're going to get around to each and every island as you go. You're going to build a grass boat, a bamboo boat, and they can expand to much bigger as well. It's going to be like a huge catamaran. And I imagine you'll be able to sail around and feel like Kevin Costner in Waterworld. You also have to deal with many enemies as well as you're going through. You have large beasts or beasts, you need resources. You have to survive them as well. I've even seen, I haven't got this far in the game myself, I've seen quite a huge sandworm as well, which does look pretty sweet, to be honest. And these enemies are nice and varied, and there's lots to them as well. So you can use their bones to craft weapons, or you can use their bones to, it's not just their bones, but you can use clay you found on the ground to build a clay oven, that kind of thing. You can build a little rack that you can have several meats kind of put on. But talking about cooking, that is kind of our survival elements to this game. You find food, you can put recipes together, and that gives you, your health and your stamina, and you need to be able to do this. You need to be able to craft your own weapons so you can hunt certain animals. You need to be able to craft certain elements to your boat so you can add more storage or add a sail, that kind of thing. But the food side of things was a bit of a nuisance. I mean, the crafting is either instantaneous, like your boat is just, as soon as you click it, it's ready for you, or you put your meat on the fire and it takes minutes at a time. And there was a point where I was really, really low on health, and well, whilst I was cooking the meat up to sort this out, an enemy that I had defeated on this very small island had respawned very, very quickly and started to attack me and near enough killed me. And then I ran out of resources and I couldn't actually relight the fire to cook the meat, so the meat had gone bad, it had spoiled, so I wasn't even able to regain my health that way, and I had to go through a different path to do so. Yeah, so there's things like that that really come into this game that really are just, well, not fun. Not fun for me. I really didn't have a good time playing this game. I found it very slow and tedious, and the slowest part of it, the bit that really just kind of made me go, not a fan, was actually traversing the water. Now, once you're in a canoe, it's fine, you got your oar, you kind of go along, you expect it to be relatively slow. But if you watch your surroundings, it can take you an entire in-game day to get from one area to another, because the days move very, very fast. This is why your animals respawn very, very quickly as well. In fact, they respawn much, much faster than most of your resources do. So if you have a grass that you need, you're going to find animals appearing before the grass regrows. Back to the boat, if you want to sail, I found it extremely difficult. You cannot control the wind in this game, so you have to use real world mechanics when it comes to sailing, and I'm not a sailor. don't think I've ever been in a boat with a sail, apart from the one galleon that's in Brixham, Devon, which was moored and never moved, so that's about as close as I got there. But that's beside the point. You need to sail to one area. So I saw this island I needed to get to. You know, the way you got your oar, you get a signal to an area where you can find like a snail shell almost, or a nautilus shell. And this gives you points, but also gives you a light to the next area you've got to go. And you can kind of just follow this throughout, and you keep surviving, and you go adventuring, do your thing. And I thought, you know what? I now have the ability to make a sail, so I'm gonna build one. And I built one, and I thought, great, I'm just gonna get there nice and quick, made a beeline for it, and the wind took me very far away. Now I understand why the developers may have wanted to do this, because one, if you can note with a sail, you're gonna be able to get your way across it very easily, but it gives you no instructions on how to deal with this. You know, do you have to have the wind behind you? Does it need to be on the side of you? Do you need to have your sail closed or open? You can't row, you can't use your oar if you have a sail, which I found extremely irritating. So eventually I did just kind of remove the sail and just kind of paddled my way across, because instead of going straight there, and I would have got there in a few minutes, it took me over 20 minutes just to get there with the sail, because it took me around the map. So that was another thing for me that I just wasn't a fan of at all. Elephant in the Room is the visual style. This game looks really, really great. Honestly, it looks like a living cartoon, a living watercolour. Maybe not watercolour, it's not quite Prince of Persia 2008 levels of watercolour, but it does look really, really cool and has a great, unique style. Well, maybe not unique. You're probably looking at this video thinking, this looks a lot like Breath of the Wild, looks a lot like Wind Waker, and yeah, Zelda is a huge influence in this game. You cannot take away from it. Pretty much the first thing you do in this game, the first cutscene you see, your character is getting shipwrecked, and it's just extremely reminiscent of Link's Awakening. So we do have that kind of thing to deal with, and visually, again, it looks really good. But because there are so many games out there that kind of have this visual style now, it doesn't feel unique anymore. This came out literally as Breath of the Wild came out, or even before Breath of the Wild came out. I think, you know, people were praising it a lot more, and even myself, I think I'd be praising it a lot more. But again, it looks great. It doesn't look as unique as it may have wanted to be originally. The music in this game is absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful music. It has it goes from like wind instruments to almost Mongolian throat singing, depending on where you are, and it really sets the atmosphere. But the problem I have with it is this music is very short, and it only triggers in certain areas. And if you're on the sea, you get the same piece of music for the entire time you're on the sea. Same with on the islands as well. I mean, there were points where I was just like, I kind of wish the music was off. It's getting a little bit irritating. Again, there's nothing against the music itself. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. But even just the short amount of time, you're hearing the same tunes, you're hearing the same music over and over again, and it does get a little bit repetitive. I mean, for me, it really did, because I don't really enjoy survival games, as I mentioned at the top of the video, and having that kind of repetitiveness kind of come over with it really put a damper on this entire game for me. So this is a very basic review, and I haven't played through massive amounts of this game. I've got through like chapter 4, I believe it is. I got quite far. It took me several hours to get there, and I had fun. You know, Kara kind of, she responds really well, she moves really, really fluidly, but she does have her downfalls as well. When you are fighting a beast, you get knocked over, it takes forever for her to get back up, and the beast will just trample on you, and you can just lose your health that way. Her movesets aren't amazing. Once you get the bow, yes, it really, really improves. Combat vastly improves, because you can keep your distance away from these beasts, and not having to use a very small knife or a spear that's going to break very, very soon. And you climb around these areas as well. You can climb these giant causeways, buildings, not buildings, like cliff faces, I suppose. And you have fun doing it. You know, it's very obvious where you got to go. Usually it's kind of green vines. You just hop onto that area and she picks herself up. Sometimes she does miss. She doesn't quite grab it, which is kind of expected. Lots of games kind of do that, but it would be nice if it was just a bit more fine-tuned. But yeah, that's pretty much the entire game. Like, you go to these areas, you find these nautilus shells. They give you some kind of like a sea crystal type things. You use like your currency in this game. And then once you've done all the three main areas in certain areas. There will be more as it goes as well. You unlock a portal that takes you to what's happened to this area and what the gods have been doing, that kind of thing. And that's where the game really becomes very interesting. That's what made me want to get as far as I did, until the point that I just didn't want to do it anymore. As I said, this game is very well put together. The music is great. The action is really good. The crafting is great. But none of these things, for me, worked. You know, I'm not a big fan of crafting. I hate weapon degeneration. The slowness of this game really bothered me, and that's saying something, considering I love a film where nothing happens in a film, and this just kind of really bothered me in a game. I just wanted to get along with it. I have a big problem when it comes to slow games, but for me personally, this game is going to get quite a low score. I do not ever see myself ever playing this game again, and it's going to be a 4 out of 10. But if you like a survival game, if you really enjoy item management and you really enjoy the idea of being able to sail around, yeah, give this game a go. You actually might really, really enjoy it. Don't let my low score impact you wanting to enjoy this game, because I recommend you probably would really, really enjoy it. But guys, that's enough from myself. That's enough from Big Bear today. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Check out our website. We have tons of streaming going on as well on Twitch. We have an Instagram, we have Facebook, all that gubbins. Leave a comment below, that would really help us out. And most of all, guys, don't forget to be nice to each other, yeah?